This is John Fields here with my son Oscar filming, and today we're going to look at an amplifier that a dear friend and mentor of mine, and also my boss Hartley Peavey, gave to me a couple of years ago. And it was in horrible disrepair when I got it. A lot of parts had been removed from it because it was used to build another amplifier at some point. But I guess I kind of avoided taking it from him for the longest time because it looked like a big project, and I didn't, really want to fool with another 5150 because I've worked on an awful lot of them, and I have one already that's pretty nice. And anyways, eventually I looked at it and I took it, and when I got a hold of it, I realized that what he was giving me, even though it was practically destroyed electronically, was an amp that Eddie Van Halen had actually toured with in 1991, and I think that it was one of four that my old boss and mentor James Brown built to send out on tour with him when they were developing the 5150 amplifier. So anyways, if you look here on the front panel, you'll see little pieces of tape and some notes here: spank, top, and solo on the rhythm pre-gain channel, which I was told he used extensively for solos, especially around that time, and the little Sharpie marks there for what his settings were at the time. And when I got it, as you can see here, it's missing an LED. It's missing some other stuff too. When I got a hold of it, it was missing several knobs, and the only things I've done to it so far are basically just kind of clean the chassis up and replace a couple of the knobs. But what's interesting about the knobs on the earliest 5150s is that the original knobs are, I'm not really sure who the vendor was. It says RB on it, but they were made of a solid bakelite, and they just had kind of a flare that the pot kind of pressured into, and it just kind of compression fit on there. And later they went to this style of knob, which has a exactly, it looks exactly the same from the outside, but it's what's called a two-shot knob, because it has two different parts that come together, and it's a much better design because it stays on the pot shafts a lot better because it's two pieces and it has some grip. But anyways, that's just an interesting thing about the earlier ones. That also applies to the classic series of amplifiers. So let's just put that back on. Now, to set one of these knobs flat, see, there'll be a flat right there, so that's all the way down, that's all the way up. So I like to set it to 5, and then I'm going to take my old bakelite knob there and just kind of carefully push it on there. Now these, you don't want to take them on and off a lot. As you can see, they don't really like to stay on. And that's why they changed the design in the first place. So I may go back and add like a tiny drop of blue thread locker on there just to hold it on so that it doesn't pop off all the time. Alright, so anyways, but he gave me this amplifier, I assume because he figured I might try to fix it up and hang on to it. I'm definitely going to make it part of my collection, probably hang on to it forever. It'll probably be the 3rd or 4th most cherished amplifier in my collection, next to a couple other that have really sentimental value. So anyways, that's basically what I'm starting with, and let's take a look at the other side here and see what we're working with. Sit that down. I'm going to put it on some pads here so that it doesn't get any more messed up. Alright, and just for the purposes of verification, is this a real Van Halen tour amplifier? I didn't recognize it at first when he gave it to me, but I started to look at it and I noticed certain aspects of it. Here you can see the exposed copper on the circuit board, and then the hand soldering. It wasn't ran through a wave, it was soldered by hand. And a lady named Marilyn Carr that worked with us at Plant 1 a long time ago used to build all the prototype circuit boards, and she almost definitely stuffed these boards and gave them to James, and then James probably put them into the chassis. And the mechanical engineer that worked on them at the time, his name was Ronnie Goss, and he probably would have had to fool with whatever modifications the chassis needed, you know, if they were something. But anyways, this was a prototype, and I actually went through some of James's old files, and I found the original schematic that matched this cut of the amplifier, which was apparently the second or third cut, but it's from April of 1991. And they worked on it for a little while, and I think probably took them out to Van Halen while they were on tour. It seems like James told me that they did it in Dallas. But anyways, before I get on to part 2 of this video, I'm going to get in touch with him and try to get some more information about it. But anyways, I'm really excited about getting this thing working. Anyways, back to the date codes. I'm saying 1991, so if you look at this capacitor here, there's a 9050, which is the 50th week of 1990. This 5-watt resistor, 9041, which is the 41st week of 1990, and so forth and so on. So the transformers were from 1989 and 1990. They were made by Basler and Electrical Windings, respectively. This circuit board here is interesting because if you see right there, there's a little RAG. That's a guy named Ray Galden that used to lay out circuit boards, and they used to call that the Ray Galden condom. Yeah, it was his little symbol that they'd put on there. The main board here was laid out by a really nice guy that I still work with to this day named Keith Varner, and he did the main part of the circuit board and the tube board right here, probably all 2 or 3 cuts, however many they did. And of course James Brown built this particular amp, assembled it, either him or Ronnie Goss, but when he was done with it, he signed it. He signed the circuit board here, J. Brown. And so that pretty much authenticates it, is what I'm saying here. So needless to say, I'm going to need to be really careful with it, and just kind of, you know, go through it bit by bit, and hopefully I can figure out whether it was in a rack or in a cabinet and maybe try to recreate all that. But with it being kind of a restoration and a historical restoration, it's going to be nice to have access to the files that, you know, that the amp was, you know, the amp was put together with in the first place. But mostly what I'm going to need to do is start at the front and go through and just troubleshoot everything to get it functional, and then at some point I'll go back to see if it actually matches this schematic, and if it doesn't, you know, or if it sounds different or whatever, you know, I'll try to make it the best version of this that I can, preferably make it into whatever he was using on tour at the time. So anyways, by the time I get done with part 2 of this video, I'll probably have a pretty good estimation of what we're going to do and how we're going to proceed with the final build. But for this video, I just wanted to cover it and maybe see if anyone out there has any information about these amplifiers. It seems like I was told that they were delivered to a concert in Dallas on the Balance tour. I could be totally wrong about that. 1991 would have probably been the OU 812 tour. Anyways, I'm going to do some more research and dig into that. But I see here I'm missing an LED. I have my knobs, the switch caps. I replaced one of those earlier. Looking in here, you see several little hand tweaks. That jumper's cut and it's got solder on it, so there must have been something going back and forth there. Same thing here. You see these parts lifted, that one's been replaced. For instance, that one on this schematic would be 0.022 at 400. So it was probably taken out at some point and then put back. And in the process of tweaking amplifiers, a lot of times that's what we do. Here's a little mod back here with a twisted pair, which probably either has some kind of signal or part of the heater on it to keep it away from something. It has all the original era Chinese 12AX7s, which were really good tubes. I doubt this one had the back on it when it was being used. And like I said, I don't know if it was in a head shell or if it was in a rack or what, but I'm going to find out all about that later on. So I guess for right now, let's just plug it up, see if we have any, just, you know, basically see what we have going on with it, see if there's any reason not to put power tubes into it. Alright, so I'm gonna put a ground wire. Oh, let me cover this real quick. In addition to the knobs, some of the other parts that they used in the process of development, I was fortunate enough when I was about 17 or 18 to get this from Ronnie Goss. I was really good friends with his stepson in high school, and we're still good friends now. And he gave me this and a couple of other prototype 5150 logos that they didn't use that were pretty neat. And these are actual flat screened metal badges that are like the ones that were used on the first amps that they sent to Van Halen. And I know that they also used them on a couple of speaker cabinets before they went to the 3D tool badge, and that's where these came from. Also, I found these gold 5150 logos in a discard pile a long time ago. And they were tooled at LCM, who made the other logos. And I'm assuming these are proofs of some sort because they're real heavy and they're made out of a phenolic material. But it's interesting that the gold color actually matches the VTM era logos, which I'm told that Eddie played through a VTM when he visited Peavey for the first time before they made the deal to do the amplifier or whatever. And so it kind of followed that maybe the first prototype had the form factor of a VTM, and maybe they were going to try to use the colors. So anyway, just some interesting stuff, and I'm going to try to compile as much of that and make an original prototype. Make it as original of a prototype as I can, so it will be historically accurate and all, because I really didn't expect to get this, but I'm going to try to do it right. So let's flip it on and see if we just have our basic plate screen, and flipping it on, we got channel. Alright, so let's just go through the supplies here. I know the bias supply is the most important one when you flip it on like that, and it's minus 60, so that's good. That would be going to the grids. And then here we have the plate would be here, 518.5, it's about right. Screen would be here, or maybe the screen would be here at 519.4. So it looks like we have our bias voltages that we need for the tubes. We have the low voltage for the heaters, and then there's the plate, 520 before it gets over here. Now this board doesn't have solder mask on it. I don't know if it's made with thicker copper than the originals. Probably not. So it's probably somewhat compromised in that it doesn't have solder mask. As long as it's not exposed to the elements and everything, it'll probably be fine once we get it fixed. I've had some amps that were like this that are 30 or 40 years old, and they've held up fine. I guess this being from 1991, this is a pretty old amplifier. So anyways, let's turn the screen on and see if that comes through. Okay, we're good. Alright, so next we're going to pop a couple of power tubes in it and see if we can just get it to power up. Now I always keep a set of these on my bench. I like to. This is actually what was originally used in the 5150s, and these are 6L6 GCs made by Sylvania, and they were branded Peavey. And here you see 6L6. They were called Super 6s, and they were sold in the accessory program and used in the amplifiers. But what these are some of the last 6L6 GCs made in the United States. And Sylvania made them with what could be referred to as an infinite vacuum, because they knew that a lot of them were going to be put into storage and used. The military got a bunch of them. But anyways, the STR 387 was a particular design that was instigated by Ed Johns at Fender for twin reverbs, where they hung upside down. And the screen would arc over to the cathode and cause failure from vibration. And so that's why this was developed in the first place. But it was adopted by the military for storage. And the last ones that were made to last forever. And they generally do, unless they have an extreme bias failure or if they're shattered in some kind of way. So anyways, I like to use these to test stuff with because they're very robust, and they tell you the truth. So let me just put these in from the bottom. There's really no reason to pick this up. Now the keys are on the back. Now I'm going to stick these tubes in the middle position, the two middle positions, so that we get our push-pull, and I'm going to mismatch the load by a little bit. I'm going to mismatch it up to the next impedance. So we'll put an 8 ohm load on it on the 16 ohm tap. Okay, and that's what we have here. So let's fire it up and see what happens. Now I'm not measuring the current on this. I do have I have a lack of a ground here. Let's try that again. Minus 59. Forgot the two middle ones. Minus 59. So it's really cold bias. I don't expect to see any red plating of the tubes or anything like that. And if you look down here under the tubes, under the chassis, if you look at the tubes, they look pretty copacetic. You don't see any red plating going on, which we wouldn't expect with such a cold bias. So let me pop a signal into the effects return and see if the power amp's functional. And we're going to turn the, well, let's do that. All right, so effects return. Turn that all the way down. And now I'm going to pop the standby on. Now, of course, the tubes wouldn't have been drawing current just a minute ago because I had the standby off. So yeah, we're at minus 57, so it's very cold. Alright, so let's just put a signal in here. And, okay, we have something going on. Oh, I didn't put it on the right load. I'm going to put this dummy load on it instead of the speaker. Alright, one more time. Okay. Okay. Let's see. I have a dirty knob on my... Okay, something's not right about that. It can have a feedback problem or any number of things, but anyways, we're going to save that for later and get into the repair on the next video. But anyways, just if you have any comments or knowledge about anything where this amp may have been on tour or anything like that, please leave it in the comments, and we'll take that into consideration for the next video. And I'll probably contact some friends and see if I can find out a little more about it. Try to take inventory and see what parts I need. It doesn't look like I'm going to need very much in the way of electronic parts, but there are some things that are cut that I'm sure are going to need to be troubleshot. And of course there's some problem with the power amp. Hopefully the output transformer is good. But anyways, we will be studying this one, and I will get back to it, and we will post a follow-up video before too long. And thanks for watching, and like I said, please like and subscribe, and if you have any more information about this that you'd like to share, please leave it in the comments, and thank you for watching.